Okay, so you want to see amazing? This is what I call fuel economy. We've just driven through to Harties from home. It's about a 60k drive, and I reset the fuel economy when I left home. And yes, you are seeing right, 4.0 liters per 100. This little 3-cylinder, 1.2 liter non-turbo, remember? And everybody says going from a 4-cylinder to a 3-cylinder was a negative. Well, how's that for fuel economy? 60 kilowatts. I know it's not a ball of fire, but it's a peppy little engine. It's vibey, it's buzzy, as I like to call it. And I think that fuel economy is totally unbeatable. No other word for it.
Hi, I'm Eleanor and welcome to MotorMatters. What have we got for you today? Suzuki Swift. We tested the automatic version recently. This is the manual in GLX spec. The new generation Swift, as they call it, launched late last year. So there are a few changes, a few updates, but so familiar. But you take a look, and let's also point out a few of the differences on GLX spec. So you've got this blacked out front grille, you've got LED headlights at the front, which is specific to GLX, and then coming around the side, we're going to move around very quickly over here. 15-inch wheels, they polished alloys. They term them the polished alloys. You get steel wheels on the GL, you get alloys on the GL Plus, and you get polished alloys on the GLX. There's how you differentiate. Another feature is lock and the mirrors fold in, press to unlock, and I can tell you now it only unlocks the driver's door, so I'm doing that quickly just to show you. A change for the new generation model is on the previous generation, the handle for the rear door was here. They've gone back to traditional handles. I don't think it makes much difference, but anyway, more practical in some ways. So let's have a look at the space in the back seat. Driver's seat set for myself. This is good. This is really, really good. Lots of legroom, knee room, stretch out, and even headroom with my hat on. More than adequate. Nice kind of cloth seats, but an interesting lack, can I call it that? For GLX, I would have liked to have seen at least one USB in the back seat. No USB there. I think in the top spec model, maybe I would have liked to have seen that. But maybe I'm being a bit picky. Who knows? You decide that for yourself. Come around to the rear. The tail lights have been changed. Interesting looking, and a nice feature, I can tell you this, that if ever you need repairs done, the fact that the tail light is in one piece over there and not into the tailgate, as in a lot of similar cars, is going to be very important if you ever need to repair. Just a little thing. Obviously everybody has their own designs and features, but I think it could be a factor. Pop open the boot. You've got a little luggage cover over there. Underneath the board you've got a space saver spare wheel, but at least it is a spare wheel. Very high lip over here, what they term the lip, where you've got to lift over and in, or something that's already in the boot to lift it out. Some cars it's much lower or even level, but it is also a safety feature because it makes it structurally a bit stronger. But let's do the Allen test. Oops. This is actually a very good sized boot. It's just under a 1 Allen. I'm struggling a bit because of the board over here, but I can tell you now, I think I'm going to actually give this a 1 Allen rating. So well done on that, Suzuki. Because in this segment, that's bigger than average. So what's under the bonnet? That's what counts, doesn't it? And that's another big change on the new generation Swift. No longer the good old 1.2 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. Still a 1.2 litre, but it's now a 3-cylinder. It lost 1 kilowatt. 60 kilowatts, 112 newton meters of torque. So in other words, the same power as the previous one, but 3-cylinder engines have a character all of their own. And you'll see in the video, a bit later on, what that can mean for fuel economy. I'm not going to tell you. Wait and have a look. You may get quite a pleasant surprise. But let's check it on the road and let's check it inside. On the road, the new generation Swift has matured. I said that when I drove the automatic, it applies just as much the manual. It just feels that little bit more solid, that little bit more stable, and that little bit more comfortable on the road. Somehow, it may have lost a tiny bit of its go-kartish handling that the previous generation had, but it just feels more mature. It feels as if it's just that little bit more comfortable, the ride, the suspension, just everything feels more pliant than it was in the previous generation. The little three-cylinder engine, you've got to get used to three cylinders. A friend of mine test drove a three-cylinder car the other day for the first time and kept saying, why is the engine so noisy? Well, it's not noisy, but a three-cylinder definitely has a different sound to it than a four-cylinder. And you've got to keep it up in the rev range as well to get it to perform. Otherwise, you're going to not struggle, but you don't get the best out of it unless you do rev it a little bit. Not crazy, but you definitely need to. And, of course, you get that little three-cylinder beat. Listen to that when you do accelerate, which I think is fun. And I think kind of brings back the youthfulness on the car, if I can call it that. The other feature, of course, is the 5-speed manual gearbox is as light as you'll ever come across. It's got a bit of feel to it, though. It's not totally devoid of feel like you do get in some econo cars, can I call them econobox cars. So it still gives you a little bit of driving fun, a bit of driving pleasure. The clutch, again, is as light as you're ever going to encounter. So just overall, it is such an easy car to drive that it's one of the few. I often say I don't want a manual car in Joburg traffic anymore. This is one of the few I could possibly live with, even in Joburg traffic. My usual turning spot is blocked at the moment, so we're just doing a 3-point turn in the cul-de-sac over there. And of course, have a look quickly over here at the reverse camera, which is really nice and clear, gives you guidelines, gives you everything you want, and makes life nice and easy. So, of course, that's a feature. So, let's just see what else I can show you. Jumping in behind the wheel, let's have a look. Well, you've got your instrumentation over there, and in the center over there, of course, is used by these push buttons, which I still think Suzuki need to update that system a little bit, but you can scroll through various items, functions, and information on that center section there. But look at that. I want you to see that. I know that you saw 4 liters per 100 on our run to Hearties, but this is the overall figure. We've done just over 300 kilometers in total now, so about a third of that was our Hearties run. And look at this, 5.5 as an overall figure over 300 odd kilometers is exceptional. It really is. You just can't complain about it. You're never going to beat it. I can tell you that much. You've got your multifunction steering wheel over here. You've got controls over there. Again, GLX trim gives you cruise control over there. And again, something Suzuki, I'm not going to complain about, but it's just almost dated, is there the controls for your cell phone. Just a little bit stranger, but anyway, nothing serious. Come across here. Here's your push button for your start, engine start, and below it over there, a button I use all the time, and that is to switch off the stop-start system, because, you know, I hate them with a passion. Coming to the center screen, look at this over here. Now, GLX gives you the bigger version, which I think is a 9-inch over there. You can see nice and big, and I did show you just now, but there's your reverse camera and your park distance control over there. So you know what those are about. You've got various buttons, function buttons over there as well, but that's not the important part. There you are. Look at the information it gives you in just the normal over there. So you've got everything you can possibly want on the screen, and it works well. It looks good. It looks functional. You come down and you've got your automatic aircon or climate control, as you can call it, with proper buttons, etc., etc. Again, nice to have. Below that over there, you've got a 12-volt socket, you've got a single USB over there, and you've got a place to put your phone, which is good. Now, What Suzuki have done with the latest generation is they do give you wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, which is quite an amazing little feature, I think. 5-speed manual gearbox. I've told you what I think. I love it. It's a nice, easy gearbox and a good old manual handbrake. Now I'm going to have my favorite gripe, aren't I? Because what this car doesn't have, that no Suzuki has, is auto locking on pull-off. You've got to remember every time you pull away to click that little button over there to lock the car. I just wish they would add that to the recipe. I know I'm moaning, I know I've said it before, but we are in South Africa and people have criticized me for saying that in the past as well. I am not ashamed to say it. I believe it should be a feature. Anyway, that's just me. That's a question you can answer for yourself. Now, this is the GLX model. I've shown you a lot of the extra features. Whether you go for GL, GL Plus, or GLX is always up to you. There are a couple of extra features you get on each one, but they all are mechanically identical. So you get that little 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine, 60 kilowatts, 112 newton meters of torque, which is not massive, and it's 1 kilowatt, 1 newton meter down on the 4-cylinder version. Really, let's not be picky on that. It makes no difference, and the 3-cylinder has its own personality and character. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Of course, Suzuki do give you the 5-year warranty as well, 200,000 kilometers, and you get a 3-year, 45,000 kilometer service plan thrown in. It's up to you whether you want GL, GL Plus, or GLX. I'm more interested in telling you, do you want manual or auto? Because if you remember, we had the GL Plus Auto recently with the CVT now, no longer the other gearbox. Well, I said on the road, this is one of the few manuals that I really wouldn't mind driving in traffic. Normally, I would curse the idea and say never, ever in this lifetime. But I could live with this one. I know it sounds a bit funny. Whether you choose the manual or auto is really always going to be up to you. They both do the job perfectly, are perfectly suited, and are superb in their own ways. There's just no way I can complain about anything to do with that. So that's the choice you're going to make. You're looking at approximately 20,000 Rand difference between the two. Oh, and by the way, I've left out the fact that every model in the range has 6 airbags now. Well done on that, Suzuki. That's a big feature and a big plus. So, 264,000 Rand for this one, 284 for the auto. A GL Plus model will cost you 239, and you can get into a GL, which obviously is the very basic version, which you'll lose things like the screen, you'll lose a number of the other extra features, obviously keyless entry, etc., etc. You get none of that on it, and you can get into that for about 224 right now. So there you go on the Swift range. I think you know what I'm saying about the value for money proposition. There's a simple reason why the Swift actually was the biggest selling model in South Africa in February 2025. There's a simple reason for it. And I don't have to tell you what that is. You just need to drive one for yourself and look at one for yourself and look at the value proposition for yourself to know exactly what I'm talking about. For MotorMatters, I'm Eleanor. See you next time.